What's up, Flip Factor family? It's Michael Green with the Flip Factor Podcast, the #1 podcast dedicated to teaching you the best way to flip houses, make more money, and have more freedom without taking tons of risk and working a bunch of hours. Now, today, the purpose of our show is to give you straight to the point, just straight content. Wherever you're aspiring investor, you're looking to get into real estate, or you're someone who's already been running an awesome house flipping business, then you're in the right place. Now, for some quick announcements, what do we got going on, Delante, in the next 30 days that people hear if they're on the podcast?
So at this point, we're running our 30-day challenge. So if you haven't heard about our 30-day house flipping challenge, definitely, jump on the Facebook group. It's still time to join. And, we're basically trying to teach our group how to get their first deal in 30 days or less. Mm-hmm. So that's exciting.
Cool. And if this comes out after the 30-day challenge is up and it's already started, feel free to jump in. You can get in anytime. It's going to be going for 30 days. We're going to post videos on our group. Our group is the Flip Factor. What is the name of the group, Delante? Give them the exact name.
So
Delante knows it better than me.
The name of the group is Real Estate Flip Factor 10X Community on Facebook. So you can find us through that.
Yeah, and you have to join. So Delante will let you in. I'll let you in. But it's free to anyone to come in. But if you're in the group, we're going to post videos there every day. And it's going to be just great value where we're teaching you how to do specifically what I did to find my first deal 10 years ago. Now, step by step. And the cool way we're going to deliver this is every day we're going to give you a little bit to do. So that way it's not overwhelming. You can take a little action every day. And in my experience, when you take action, it just keeps compounding on each other. You start to get results. What do you think about that? Delante, do you agree, by the way?
I totally 110% agree. I think this whole business, like we always talk about, is just taking action, learning from your action and then going back out there. And I think, the quickest way to get to your deal is if you're consistently taking action.
Yeah, true, man. It's just take action, take action. So yeah, I know we so oversimplified that, but if you jump in, and that's what these are. Look, you're taking action by listening to this podcast, right? Doing anything that's going to farther your knowledge and help give you a better chance of breaking into this industry is exactly where you need to be. So you're in the right place right now. The last piece, if you guys don't know, we actually do coaching. Me and Delante, we help people get started, whether you're already in the business or if you're already flipping a bunch of houses. I actually run an exclusive mastermind for people that are already doing a lot of flips. So if you guys ever need any coaching, you can easily just reach out to me at the Flip Factor on Facebook or Flip Factor Podcast on Instagram and message me on either one of those places, and I'll get back to you personally, or Delante, one of the two of us. So Delante, where do we get started today? What's our topic?
So basically our topic today is getting into the trenches of the top way to find deals with no money. This is pretty much a no-brainer, but if you're someone who has no money or you're someone who's looking to get into real estate for really cheap, one of the methods that we like is driving for dollars. Yeah.
Okay. I've heard driving for dollars sucks though. So tell me more about that, right? Everyone's like, drive for dollars, it sucks.
Yeah. And I think people say that just because of like the amount of work that it takes to, actually get it started and get it off the ground. But we were just having a conversation about this, last week, Mike. It seems like when you put in the work and, you find properties through driving for dollars, maybe doing like a consistent weekly basis or something, you'll get some pretty nice leads. Like we've got some students right now who are getting some quality leads from their driving campaigns.
Yeah. And listen, you can't just do it any old way, right? There's a lot of bad information about driving for dollars. For many years, I thought driving for dollars, no, I'm not doing that. That's inefficient. It's stupid. It's just wasting my time. And I have to be honest, I changed my tone a few years ago on driving for dollars. Some students I was working with, and I put together a really awesome system and we started to tweak it. And like anything in life, I've learned so I'm just going to regress just a little bit. We all have limiting beliefs. And obviously one of our limiting beliefs could be like the MLS doesn't work anymore. Driving for dollars sucks and it doesn't work. That was my limiting belief a couple of years ago, that driving for dollars doesn't work. A student challenged me to say, hey, let's make it work. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Because I'm learning to stop making statements that things don't work and start asking questions of what would make it work. So as we worked on it for a few months, we actually put together a really efficient driving for dollars system that works well, doesn't take a lot of time, gets you really highly qualified leads of people who want to do business with you for very, very little money. So I know we said no money, but I consider like under $100, no money, right? Not when you're thinking about making like 20 to 30K, right? You got to put something in, but $100, almost anyone can come up with $100. Like you can go in a corner and put a sign sign up, right? And like I've given money to these people, put a sign up and it says, hi, my name's Delante. I want to get started my dream. I want to start my dream of flipping houses. Would you please help me out? Anything helps. And I guarantee in 3 to 5 hours, maybe even just a day, you could get $100 to start your career. So I'm giving you that because I don't believe that anyone has a lack of resources. They have a lack of resourcefulness. And if you really want this, I'm probably the only coach out there telling you to panhandle into your dreams. Right? So, but it would work. I mean, if someone was on the corner, I totally would respect that. I mean, would you respect someone like taking that level, Delante, like that level of like just getting stuff done?
Man, if I saw somebody on the corner with that level of getting stuff done, I know we always talk about this, and we always talk about like the homeless like bum marketing campaign that I swear I've been pitching to. I've been pitching this to you for like, it has to have been over a year at this point. But basically, if I saw someone on the corner who's like, look, I'm trying to get into house flipping, like just whatever help, I'm gonna bring out my bandit sign and I'm gonna say, look, you wear this bandit sign around your neck and I'll give you $5 every time I see you. Like, that's the grind, I think. Now that's a little,
the grind.
A little bit of a tangent, but
so instead of giving them $10, you're going to pimp them out. I love it, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like Delante was like, no, I'm not. I almost thought Delante was going to say, hey, no, I'm going to give him like $10. Because Delante don't give anyone money. He's a cheapskate by nature. I'm pretty cheap when it comes to that too. And I've made it my mission to give some money out to the homeless and other people just to be more supportive and stop being such a greedy pig. Because, look, we have to give back to others. And it's a big thing that sometimes we get caught up in our own world. And, we just get very self-centered and like getting results and doing stuff and having success. We forget about others. So it's important. But I almost thought Delante said he was going to give $10, but no, he's like, no, I'm going to put him into work. And by the way, like Delante, you're making a great point. I'm joking with you, obviously, but you make a great point. Like if I seen that guy on the corner or girl on the corner saying that, I literally would be like, hey, call me. I got something for you. And I'd find a way to work with someone with that level of like, just, ambition, really. I mean, I guess it's simple, that level of ambition, and also not giving an F, right? I mean, not worrying about what other people are thinking. Nothing's going to stand in the way of this person's dream. Dude, I would be really, really pumped to see that. So, and I would want that person to be in my life because that's the type of people we need to be around. And this is the type of person I am. Like me and Delante, the reason we get results is because we teach our students and every day we practice the same things of like, this is what it takes to make stuff work. And it's often above and beyond anything else you've seen from any other coach because of obviously these days we're in a very competitive market. So when we talk about it, let's just ask. So our first question I know a lot of people are asking is driving for dollars is an inefficient way of doing stuff. And, what are my thoughts on it, right? Or my thoughts on that is this, and me and Delante had a long discussion about this, but I believe that when you're driving for dollars 5 years ago, it wasn't as necessary because you could easily send a letter out and there was people who were very motivated and your phone would ring off the hook and it was just a really easy way of getting leads. Now you can still send letters out, but you're going to have to send twice as many to get half the phone calls. And so it costs a little more money than it did before. Now for someone like me who's doing a lot of deals, not a big deal, right? If I spend $4,000 to acquire a deal that makes $35,000, I'm okay with that. But if you're pretty new to the game, the prospect of having to spend $4,000 in order to get one deal you might not have 4,000, or if you had four, what if it took 6,000 to get it? Because often when we say it's 4,000 a deal, it doesn't mean you automatically get a deal by 4,000. Sometimes we send 6,000 to get one deal, and then the next deal comes for two. And if you split that in half, the average of the two is $4,000. So ideally, you'd want to have about $5,000 to $10,000 in marketing to do a source like that. So when we think about driving for dollars, why I think in this hot market, I'm going to give you all the benefits I think that you gain doing driving for dollars now that you didn't have 3 years ago versus like the cold market. I mean, the really super cold market when it was easy to get stuff. First of all, you're going to go direct to sellers. Nobody likes driving for dollars. Everyone's too lazy to be consistent with it. So if you are consistently doing driving for dollars, you're going to start sending letters or, contacting, door knocking, doing whatever you have to do to get in contact with those owners. And when you get in contact with those owners, you're going to be one of the few who's contacted them. If anybody at all, you might be the only person. And you always heard this. You always want to fish in the pond that has the most fish, but also has the least people fishing. This would actually represent that. Like letters, bandit signs, all the things you've heard from everyone else. It's a pond with plenty of fish. I work that pond every day. I love it. But you got to know your stuff to get in there because there's other competitors in there. There's other people fishing. And if you're not quick, you don't have the right bait, you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to get any deals very easily. However, with driving for dollars, it's a perfect beginner play because you're often not going to have a lot of competition, which leaves you room and time to learn. In the field, we're going to be learning. So I love that part about driving for dollars. Also, the overall investment. I mean, look, you get 20 addresses that have high grass, like they just look like a crap hole, and you're sending a letter to them. Like in 20, you're going to get a couple phone calls. To get phone calls takes a lot of money with letters, any kind of other source. It's going to cost you a lot of money. So I like that you can do that. I like that you're not going to have a lot of competition. I like that very few people are doing it. Also, with everything else being so tough, driving for dollars still really easy, by the way, because so few people are doing it.
I think you made a lot of good points, Mike. It's almost, I mean, we talked about this the last time we chatted, but again, it's this whole thing of like work versus money, right? Like how much work are you willing to put in? Or if you put in more work, then you have less for money investment. If you put in more money, there's probably less work involved. So when you're at the beginning stages of, your house flipping career and you don't have a lot of money to start off with, like driving for dollars is probably one of the most money efficient things you can do. Like you said, you're going to spend some time driving around to find properties and stuff. And there are ways to do that kind of smart that we'll get into later on in the podcast. But it's really about, like you said, having that ambition to get started first off and to be consistent with your driving campaign. Because if you can get these properties, like, 20 properties a week or however many properties a week on a consistent basis, you're going to start getting motivated calls. And once you get those motivated calls coming in, that's when you can really start, making those first dollars in your business and really growing. So with that being said, Mike, at what level of your business do you think driving for dollars stops making sense? Because I know, you started pretty much from, negative dollars. So there had to have been a point where you decided that, I guess, the more work approach stopped making sense for you as you grew your business.
So I wasn't taught driving for dollars early on, so I never really did it until about 7 years in the game. So I was a little different than everyone else. I didn't jump into it right off the bat. But analyzing it, when does it stop making sense? Well, it stops making sense when you grow, you have enough money to market, and you can automate the process of marketing and generating leads for yourself. And your time is better used analyzing a deal, renovating it, closing your wholesale, doing all what we call the higher paid activities. And that happens pretty soon. So for me, I believe if you're pretty new, you should be driving for dollars. The driving for dollars, by the way, let me break down like kind of what my system is with my students and what we've done. In general, if say we're looking at a house on the MLS and we go out and we see this house on the MLS, it makes a lot of sense to stay there for an extra hour and then literally just go like just for an hour, go all around that house and look for other properties that you can send letters to. So it doesn't have to be like a 2 or 3 day a week thing. It could literally be 3 to 5 hours a week of driving for dollars, and you'll start to fill up your pipeline. And that's what it's all about. Imagine, you ever heard like your network is your net worth? So think of your network and house flipping as houses that are distressed. So every time you find a house that's distressed and you put it into your Excel spreadsheet or your Word doc or on a piece of paper, you're starting to create your network of houses that potentially could end up being a flip for you. And the deeper that network gets, the more likely you are one of those are going to come to you and you're going to get a deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, you pretty much hit all the points in the head. We talk about these higher paid activities of analyzing deals, and getting the deals closed. That's the best thing you can do as your business owner. When you scale up your business, I think it does make sense to either start outsourcing your driving for dollars or, do it while you're doing other activities. Like you said, going to look at houses that, you've already planned to go see on the MLS anyhow. I guess the next question or the next idea I kind of want to talk about is, with the invention of these apps like Uber and DoorDash, Lyft, all this other stuff, what do you think of sort of incorporating those into driving for dollars? So like, for instance, what we talked about last week, I came up with this idea of like Ubering for dollars, right? Like you go out and pay Uber drivers while they're doing their regular job to go and take pictures of properties for you. And we kind of chatted about that a little bit, but what do you think, the actual, I would say, possibility of that being like a successful business move is?
Man, I think anything's possible, right? And I think that was a super creative idea, Ubering for dollars. Anyone who's driving for a living, a pizza delivery guy, an Uber guy, mailmen, mail women, right? Anyone, Amazon delivery people, right? We have like, there's a lot of jobs where people drive all day long. And all you have to do is train them. And then first they're going to, okay, first of all, they're going to have an interest in real estate. I don't think they're just purely doing it just to like, because they think they'll make some extra income, that it works as well. But if you can find people that have interest in real estate, say like on a Facebook group or maybe on Craigslist or somewhere else, then what's going to happen is you're going to, they'll have no problem doing that additional thing because they feel like they're learning something they want to learn at the same time. So they'll have a little bit of motivation to do, look for properties and send them to you. So I believe that if you were to connect with those people, that's step one. And yes, I think you could Uber for dollars. Do I think you could get an Uber job and do some Uber part-time? And as you're Ubering, look for houses also? Like, again, if you don't have money to get started in real estate, then you don't really have a real estate issue. You have a job issue. Get a job, right? Go make some money. Go do some Ubering, right? Get on there with that sign on the, to Panhandle, Uber drive, right? There's a lot of hustles out there where you can make an extra $50, $100, any of those things, right? There's a lot of money out there that can be made that way. So I personally believe that's how we do things.
Yeah. And I mean, now that you're saying it, I mean, if you're someone who's like looking to make some money and get into real estate and you don't have that much, but you got a pretty nice car, like, why not just pull up the Uber app or pull up the DoorDash app, knock some deliveries out, and while you're delivering, you can just stop and take pictures of houses. I mean, I think the food delivery one works. I wouldn't say the best because, I haven't really tested this, but it kind of makes sense, right? You go out to different routes every time you make a delivery. So you're going to different neighborhoods in your local area, delivering food. You have to get there within a certain period of time. So like the food's not cold, but you can always stop for a second if you see a house and just take a picture of it, write down the address, and then just keep going on. So like there's idea, I guess, kind of works hand in hand with looking for houses and getting houses, on your pipeline, like you said.
Well, I can tell you 100% why the DoorDash isn't going to work for me or the pizza delivery, because I probably would be like, I'm going to be like, all right, give me a couple of those fries. Like I can't guarantee the food's going to make it there.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't know about you, but like, I'd have a hard time delivering all that awesome food every day. And to be like, wait, one fry for me. They're not going to notice that one fell out the bag. Stop shaking the bag, trying to get some stuff out of it.
You forgot.
Probably not my best job. Oh man, they forgot to give you this. My bad. I ate it. Yeah, I would definitely be eating all the product, man. So I can't do that. Plus I probably would gain about 7,000 pounds. I can't be around great food like that all the time.
So you mentioned this a little bit, Mike, but where do you think you could find people that you can do this with, like create these agreements and stuff with? And I know, like we said, this kind of makes sense for you or for anyone if they're at that sort of level where they're looking to do those higher level tasks like analyzing deals and stuff. So they want to start outsourcing driving for dollars. So where do you think you can find people to outsource that with? I know you mentioned Facebook.
Yeah, I think Facebook groups, obviously, if you're investment groups, they're free. Get into them. Meetup groups, like discussion boards on meetup groups are pretty good. Probably the number one spot would be posting an ad on Craigslist in like the real estate section. If it's free anymore, I know sometimes they're charging you now, so I don't know if I'd pay for it. But if not, go to the free sources. But Craigslist, man, everybody's on Craigslist. If you just hit it up and you're like, dude, I want to do this, or, here would be the ad, by the way, Delante. If you say something along the lines of like, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I'm looking for someone who has one of these jobs, right? Which would be like DoorDash, Uber, pizza delivery, mailman, Amazon delivery, right? Name the jobs. If you've thought about investing in real estate, I want to partner with you. You wouldn't cost you any money. I would literally just looking for someone to, as you're out there doing your day-to-day job, look for some properties for me. Whenever I find a deal, I'll give you a referral. Right? So if you want to make some extra money doing what you're already doing in real estate, give me a call. I promise you your phone would ring. It would ring for sure.
Yeah. You just got to watch out for the Craigslist killer. That's all.
All right. I feel like you always hook me with these, man. Was that the hook? I mean, okay, what is the Craigslist killer?
Oh, man. You don't know about the Craigslist killer?
No, man. I'm like out of the loop. I don't watch the news, man, so I don't know about anything.
Okay. All right, so here's the deal on the Craigslist killer. So basically, there was this guy. His name's Philip Markov. He was a American medical student. Basically, he was charged with murdering this young girl back in like 2009, 2010. But the weird thing about it was that he also murdered other women, and he had all gotten in contact with them through Craigslist. So what he would do is he would put an ad out on Craigslist, like, I don't know, for some odd job, just trying to get like a task done that you paid a couple bucks for. And then he would lure the girls to a location and obviously kill them. But yeah, like Craigslist killer.
Okay.
So.
First of all, I'm a little bit afraid with the level of detail that you have on this story. You feel like you might be in the fan club. So you're making me nervous, man. I'm not going to sleep. I'm sleeping with one eye open around you from now on.
I will say I've researched it multiple times, so there might be something there. I don't know.
Yeah, there could be. So yeah, okay, stay away from serial killers, right? If anyone's creepy, you're on Craigslist, you're putting an ad out. Obviously, I don't even know if you ever have to meet anyone to do this, to be honest. You could do like a Loom video. Loom's free. It's LOOM. It's a new video screen sharing thing you can do. You could do like a video on your computer and teach them how to do it, and just walk them through how to, and then never really meet them. Just have them like putting stuff in like a Google Drive document or something, like a shared document. So I don't even know if you actually have to meet them, which is my hack to not getting killed off Craigslist. They're like, yeah, I'd like to drive for you. Do you mind meet me in this alley by a dumpster? Yeah, maybe that's a no.
That's probably not a good person to partner with.
That is not Flip Factor approves activity. We at no level approve meeting by dumpsters to do real estate deals. There's nothing good going on there. I promise.
If you guys actually do this strategy and someone on Craigslist reaches out to you and tells you to meet them in the back of a Starbucks at 10 p.m., we have no personal obligation to that. We are not responsible for you. Do it at your own risk, but highly unadvised.
Well, there's also something I've been watching. I've been watching a lot of the Criminal Minds lately with my girlfriend, and so I've learned this: really, only white people are serial killers. So, I mean, not to racially profile the white guy, but look, if they're not white, then you have a pretty good chance they're not going to be the first serial killer ever. Like, there's apparently no Chinese serial killers or black serial killers. I mean, I'm assuming there's some, but according to Agent Hotchner, he's like they're pretty much white. That's what he says. And so, I think if we racially profile any weird, creepy sounding white guys, definitely don't meet them in an alley. And that right there will reduce your risk of becoming a statistic.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah, I always got a good answer for everything, right? I go, okay, man, that's how you're going to stay alive. Dude, so the Craigslist killer. So let's finish up. We gave a lot of value today, man. Thank you for sharing all the feedback. I want to just kind of summarize everything we talked about and add a few little things. And then for you, before we finish up, add any advice you have for the listeners about how to drive for dollars. So we never got real clear on that. When you are going around and you're looking at houses, how you identify a house that you would want to send a letter to is we're looking for what we call a property avatar. And property avatar means there's a certain type of house that we tend to flip a lot. And that house is a little bit older, been at least 30 to 40 years old. It's in bad condition. So, there's some things on it that's broken. It's distressed essentially. So if we see a window that's busted out, high grass, any kind of major work on the outside of the house that makes it look really outdated, that person could be motivated to sell because they're starting, usually when people stop caring about a house, they start letting things deteriorate. Essentially, at some point they're going to be ready to sell to someone who could take that problem off their hands, and that we see that quite a bit. So that's kind of the avatar of the kind of property you would be looking for. Anything you can add to that, Delante, or did I miss anything?
No. I mean, you got it pretty much. I would say though that one of the things you also want to look out for is knowing which houses to track as far as you're driving for dollars, because when you get into a market like Baltimore, especially in the city, and you get into the hood where there's a board up, but then there's 6 more board ups on the same block. You don't want to write down all those houses because you probably don't want to invest in that area anyway. If you're going to be flipping, or if you have some specific strategy for how to invest in those types of houses, then, that's fine as well. But
yeah, so you're making a good point. I didn't actually touch on that. What type of neighborhood do we want to drive for dollars in? Mm-hmm. So ideally, I told you the type of house we like, but you're right. What if someone went into a really bad neighborhood? There'd be a lot of those, and wouldn't necessarily be a good use of your time. So the areas I personally love is areas that, for Baltimore at least, and it's going to be different in every state, but we're looking for that first-time home buyer area. When somebody buys their first house, where's that at, right? Single family, row home, doesn't really matter as much. Just make sure there's people living there. One of the hallmarks that you're in a really bad area, which we call the war zone in Baltimore, kind of like the Wire, is that there really is no houses. We'll see whole blocks that are boarded up with one random person living there, and then the block next to it is completely been knocked down like a bomb hit it. That's not a safe neighborhood. It looks a lot like Iraq, like it's a war zone. That's why we call it the war zone, because it looks like a war zone. Those areas just are not really they have no no value. They have negative value to them. So it might cost $40K to fix up a house that when it's done would only be worth $20K. So someone would have to actually pay you about $50K to buy it, which I don't think anyone's going to do. So that is one of the things when you're a new investor in Baltimore, you'll get caught up in those rough neighborhoods because someone would be like, yeah, I'll sell you a house for $3,000. It's actually worth negative 25. Yeah. So it's just, that's the reality of it. There's no value there. So we want to stay away from those and just look at the areas where people are buying, but don't go in too nice of areas, by the way. But driving for dollars does work in nice areas, but you'll drive a lot more to find these distressed houses. So it is important that you go to an area that's going to be more first-time home buyer, old enough to have some distressed homes, and you'll get your biggest bang for your buck when you're doing that. So cool, man. I think that gives us everything we need. Anything additional about driving for dollars you think is important that the listeners would want to know?
Oh, you know what? We didn't really touch on this. What do you do after you have your list of properties, right? Like, say I got 20 properties that I found over the past week or so, or 2 weeks, whatever. You know, where do we go from here?
So three things actually we can do. And I'll give them to you in the order of like the most likely for you to do and what I think is the best. The first is sending a letter is probably, it's going to be the easiest. I don't know if it's the best, right? The best probably is knocking on a door. Not everybody's going to want to do that. And I get it totally, right? Because I don't really like to knock on random strangers' doors either. There's probably some serial killer story Delante has about that, but we don't have time to get into that. I wouldn't want to do that, but it works really well. So first I would send them a letter. Second is knocking on the door is an option. Third is giving them a call as an option. So, you can do that through like skip tracing services. It'll charge you like $1 or $2 to get the full, they'll give you all the information on the owner, like their number, their mailing address, everything you might need, just anything you need to know about the mortgage amount and just getting in contact with them. I wouldn't even be opposed to going like on Facebook and trying to friend them or anything you can do to get in contact and say, hey, Delante, I seen you have a house at 123 Main Street. I was in the area and I'm looking to buy one. And I know this is out of the ballpark. I mean, out of the blue, but have you ever considered selling that property? Right? And just question mark. People get back to you. If they're thinking about selling, they're going to wonder how you know. And they're like, awesome timing.
Yeah. Like we mentioned this earlier in the podcast, but like these are the ponds that aren't fished in. Well, not fished in, but they aren't fished in as much. So wouldn't it make sense, to go as far as you can with trying to get in contact with the seller? So like, you just gave them 3 options that a new investor can take, but you can do all 3. You can hit them with a letter, you can call them, you can leave a voicemail, you can text message them, you can find them on Facebook, you can drive to their house. Like these houses, when you're driving for dollars, when these houses have more potential, so why not just take it all the way?
There you go. So. We got it straight out of the mouth of the expert stalker. You just dropped way too much information on that. He's like, yeah, you can do all these things to find someone who doesn't want to be found. Yeah, I like the look. If you guys that are listening, if you could see the look on Delante's face right now, scary. I'm not going to lie. So if you don't hear another podcast, the last person I talked to was Delante. Please tell the detectives that he is the likely suspect. He's the guy, man. He's like, so he just dropped some cool stuff on you, joking around. But like that is, look, when you want to get a deal done, make it happen. Don't find reasons, right? One of my coaches told me a long time ago, you can either have reasons or you can have results. Which one is it that you want? Make that choice. That's basically what Delante is deciding to have results versus reasons. And me too, by the way. I'm the same. Dude, thank you for coming on the show as usual. Delante is almost like a co-host, essentially. He'll be on here quite often. I love getting his take. He's very funny. We get to talk about it. He seems to have all the knowledge of the stuff that I wouldn't know anything about the serial killers and news and everything and up-to-date stuff. I don't know any of that stuff because I cut regular TV off and I work all the time now, so I don't get to do it. But thank you for coming on, man. You've been an awesome guest as usual. The listeners, you gave them a lot of value, and thank you for that.
Of course.
So again, if anyone listening to the show would like to get some coaching, talk to me, you can easily just reach out to me on Facebook at The Flip Factor or on Instagram at The Flip Factor Podcast. And let's have a discussion. If you want to get into real estate, you want someone to hold your hand, help you kind of walk to the end, start getting deals done. It's what I did when I got started. It's how Delante got in the business. Every great real estate investor usually starts with the help of someone else who's already went down that path and can show them the way. Most people, my belief is, can get there on their own. I just help them get there a lot faster. Right? Instead of waiting 5 years, let's do it in 5 months. All right. Well, thank you for listening to The Flip Factor. It's been my honor to talk with you. And my work is done here, but your work has just begun.
Awesome.
See you guys.